Okay, we're talking about the surface planers we just brought into the wood shop. They are much quieter than the ones we had before. They work very well. They're cutting great. Please don't go inside and adjust anything. That would help us out a lot if you didn't do that. A couple things that go on the back side that you do need to know about. If you had a buildup of chips, sometimes over in this corner here, you might get some. If you have a problem or anything, the best thing to do is call one of the maintenance people here, or get someone who knows a little bit about the machine, get you some help, unless you already understand it. But to open up the top, make sure the breaker's off, grab your lever, clip over here, and then you get underneath, and you bring it. Now you hear it click, and once it clicks, that's going to show you that that's engaged back here, and will keep the cover up so that you can clean up. But sometimes you get a little bit of buildup over here, and it has to be cleaned out. Generally, not too much, but just so you know, it's possible. This window that is in here, we should wipe it off probably a little more often than we do. But you can see all your chips and how it's picking up and how the vacuum's pulling it through. So you see what is going on there with it. To put this down, you have two slots for the screws that are sitting down here. Go back up here. Come down here. At the end, I just push again, drop it in, lock it down, and we're good to go. And you turn your power back on. Also, something I want to caution everybody about is as the board is coming out the other side, your finished product's coming out. This roller back here is adjustable. Now it can be out in this position or it could be up here. We recommend, if you're going to use it, keep it up in here or keep it out here. If you're not paying attention and you got this up here and you got it locked in place and you stick your fingers in this way, you're going to get caught. You're going to get hurt. And we don't want that to happen. So we try to keep the roller in as much as possible, but if you're going to open the roller at all to have support, if you got some really long goods, you want to make sure you bring it all the way out. And then again, never reach in. Never have your hand go across the rollers. Only come from the side. Come from the side. You don't get trapped. So this is important. Don't get trapped. Don't get here. You can't stop the machine. You have an emergency stop right here, but it doesn't stop that quick. It's still got to run down. It's still going to squeeze your hand. So we don't want that to happen. So if you think you need to do something here, you need to raise it up. I don't know why you would, but only come in from the side. Don't come from the top. Don't put your fingers this way. It'll still pinch you. Come from the side. Push up from underneath and get out of the way. Stay outside the bars on each side. Keeps you a lot safer. That's out. I'll just leave it in. Okay? So, two ways to do things, or adjust it. But just don't get your fingers caught. We want everybody to know about it. That's a pinch point. We have to be very careful so that no one's getting hurt. That's it for the back side. Coming around to the front, of course, we still have the red lights on it to let you know when it's running. There's the window up here in the top, so you can see when chips are flying and what's going on there with that. Again, it's a pretty straightforward machine. There's a little block of wood on here. We put that block of wood on here because so many people love to adjust things because they see a knob. Well, this knob is one of them, even without power, if you start turning that knob according to the manufacturer's guidelines in their book, is you can do damage to this. This is a speed control. You're either 10 feet a minute or 30 feet a minute, okay? We're not going to run this at 30 feet a minute. You can't keep up with it. It just goes flying through. So, to make things look cool, we may put a logo on it later or something, I don't know. But we're not going to use that. Don't try to take that block off. I mean, it can be taken off, but we don't want to do that. we're not going to change the speeds. We have another stop switch up here at the top. What we're encouraging everybody to use is the start stop switch over here. Okay? So that you know what's going on. This is a simple operation. There it is running. It's nice and quiet. Not bad. Stop is here. It even has a light in there. If you want a light, you can look down in there with your light. You don't have to use these stop switches here. I mean, you can, but we've been doing everything, teaching everybody right here to use them, but you still have the other stop switches. Okay, this has a Wixie built in for a gauge. A lot of times it's already set for you, and a lot of times it's not. Right now we have it set up at 2.1, and that matches our manual gauge over here on the side. One of the problems we're running into is people sometimes don't surface the wood or be able to or plane it or join it before they bring it over here. And then they come in here and they look at the end of it and you go, yeah, that's just fitting in there. You know, I got my, what I think is my space, but back here on the board, back down in here, has a big hump, or has a couple humps. And we've had people never start with it real tight, first of all, but when you do, measure your board and compare it to this gauge. Try to get it right. You want to be right. But all that being said, what happens is people start, they got this up here where they think it's going to work. And then it starts to go in, and all of a sudden you hear the machine bog down and really starts to groan. And we've seen the wood come out where there's up almost like 3/8 of an inch of a gouge where it just ate into it because the board or the material you're starting with wasn't checked, wasn't right. It wasn't consistent with its thickness. So we have a gauge here that you can slide up and down the board. You can set this knowing what it is, but you want to make sure that this gauge, your Wixie here, matches this out here. Keep yourself safe. One full turn with the handle is a 16th. A full turn is a 16th. But the full turn is counterclockwise to close it. The other machines, it was the other way, clockwise. Okay, so counterclockwise, one turn from wherever you're at. We had this set up matching earlier just to cover that. And then you can take what your overall is and you can set it up for your goal of what you want to be. Maybe you want to be like 0.075 for a finish, whatever. And you can watch it dial itself right in each time you make a cut. Takes a little practice, but not much. But make sure the spacing is right. The rollers out front are similar to the rollers in the back. They can be adjusted in and out. We're encouraging everybody to leave this out. It gives you a little more stability when you're setting up here and you're going to put your board in. Rather than fighting to get onto that ledge, you got a little room now, so you can just roll it up in there and make sure everything's right. Whenever in doubt, or you don't think it might be tight, make sure you make it looser. Doesn't hurt to run it through the first couple passes to make sure you're clear. But again, measure your board, mic your board, see how even it is all the way through. Something's got a hump in it. I see a lot of them where you have one side is like, boy, this is really nice at 7/8, but this one's just over an inch. But you didn't check this in. You checked this in, but then you didn't run that in first. You ran the inch in, and it's going to bog the machine right down. So find your highs and lows in your board. It's really important. The board prep is so important. But other than that, once you're cutting, it's pretty simple. And you know, when you're dealing with thousands, and you have the U.S. scale on one side and you have the metric on the other. So as you're turning, you see the numbers changing for both sides. It tells you what you're doing, what your thickness is as you're trying to dial down. Okay, again, it's pretty straightforward. It's a little bit different than our last machines. It's a lot quieter. If you put something on top on these rollers, be prepared to pick it up off the floor. Because look at them, they just go. Yeah, I've seen people go, and they just go, they roll right along. We have to put a brake on them or something because they like to move. I think that pretty much, that's the basics of this machine. We're just trying to give you an overview of what's going on. Questions, please search us out. We'll be glad to answer questions for you. We have a lot of mentors in here. You can put them to work helping you out if you have trouble. But think about it, look at it, verify. Make sure your board is pretty straight or flat. If you can join it, that works good. Again, raising the deck counterclockwise. Okay, counterclockwise. Watch your scale, it'll tell you. You have a mic sitting right up here, so if all else, you could do that. You have the manual gauge right here. Everything you need. Shouldn't have any problems. So, take good care of it. They're very nice pieces of equipment. And thank you for paying attention.